Today we are looking at the Black Mamba. Get it? It's black reel and it's called the Mamba. Was the impression all right though? I think the impression was all right. I promise that'll be the last of the impressions, at least for this video. But this is the Mamba YB5000 from Westlake, which is the Go Outdoors brand of fishing gear. So that obviously it's available from Go Outdoors. And in this video, I'm going to tell you 5 key things you need to know about this reel. Starting with the price. It comes in at just $34.99. Nothing more to say about it. That is cheap.
I know I said I wouldn't do any more impressions, but sod it. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Do it for Polly, by order of the peaky CARPologist. Please do what I just said and comment below how bad you thought that was. Worse than the Attenborough or better? Now at first glance you're probably thinking, that's not going to cast very far at all. And you'll be right in thinking that because it's not an out-and-out distance casting reel. It's not got a big bulky spool, it's not got slow oscillation with really fine line lay, it's not got a big cranking power to be fishing those great distances. But what if you're in a situation where you've got these reels and you want to fish a little bit further? You want to be able to cast a decent distance. I've got 12-pound line on here, 3¼ test curve 12-foot rod, which is your fairly standard carp rod at the moment. So I'll give it a bit of a whack. And that's easily on around the 70, 80 yard mark. So pretty easy to fish those sort of distances. But as I said, it isn't designed to be fishing great distances, but you can, at a push, go probably around those sort of distances, maybe a bit more if you're really cranking it up, but I'm not gonna fish it much more than that. And I think this reel is a bit more designed for closer range work. Or actually, I think it'd make a perfect little surface controller reel because it's quite small and lightweight and it's not designed to fish at great distances. I think you could use it quite nicely as a little surface controller rod or maybe a stalking rod, something that's not going to be getting all the abuse of fishing at great range because it is designed to fish at smaller distances. So I'll just give it a little flick towards the island. Lovely. I mean, it's perfect for this sort of range fishing of 40, 50 yards. It's got a metal line clip on there as well, so easy to use that. It's a circular one rather than one of those old plastic clips. A little bit fiddly to get it in, I found. Get there eventually. There we are. It's in the clip, so I'll just give it another cast on that. So rather than one of those old school plastic line clips that cheaper reels used to seem to come with, which often broke off or a bit fiddly to use and maybe even damage the line, this does come with a little metal line clip. So I'll just wind this back in, give it another flick back towards the same spot, which again is around the 45 yard mark. And nice and smooth. I felt nice and cushioned. It didn't, excuse all the noise in the background. It's the tractors are on full flow again this morning. So it cushioned quite nicely on that. It's quite a nice balanced setup actually, considering I'm using a 3¼ 12-foot rod with a fairly small reel. It actually feels quite balanced. So casting wise, it ticks the boxes for me. Let's just say this is another reason I think this reel is more designed for closer range stuff, because unless you want to have arms like Popeye, you'll be cranking for a very long time when you're fishing at those sort of distances. Having said that, it's smooth. It's 5.2 gear ratio and a 6+1 ball bearing, if that means anything to you. Well, it is smooth on bringing in, but as you can see, the oscillation isn't slow, so you're not getting ultra fine line lay for distance casting. But like I said, that's not what this reel is designed for. It reels in, it casts out, it does a job. When it comes to playing a fish, there's 2 different ways you can control them, really. Well, a few different ways. Obviously, the strength you're putting into the rod, but also how you let them take line when they're taking a bit of a run. You can use the back wind, which is fine for those of you that are practiced in that, but if you've ever tried it for the first time, I find it very, very awkward and sort of just bewilders me how to use a back wind for the first time. So I very much heavily rely on using the clutch of a reel. So I need to have confidence that that clutch will perform how I want it, and when I adjust it certain ways, it will do exactly what I want it to do. So a clutch is very important for probably most of us out there. So ideally I'd like to play a fish, but I'm not fishing today, and even if I was, it'd be very unlikely to try and capture this on camera. So I set the clutch relatively tight at the moment, and I'm just going to pull the lead round with the 3¼ pound testicle rod I've got here until that clutch starts to go. Now, my first set of carp reels were cheap eBay specials, very similar to this, and they came in probably around the 20 to 30 quid mark. So again, same sort of price, but the clutch on them were horrendous. As soon as a fish started to build and it would lunge round, the rod tip would go, and then the reel would just go zzz, zzz, and it was terrible. So you really couldn't play a fish very well with the clutch, and often it would lose you fish because it would either not give or give too much, and then it would give you slack. So absolute nightmare. Production quality and the technology in fishing now is so much more readily available that even cheaper reels should do a decent job. Enough waffling on. I've set the clutch. I'm going to start pulling it around and see how this performs. It's nothing yet. There we go. So it didn't lunge, it just started ticking away. That's on a relatively tight clutch. I'll just tighten up a bit more. A couple of clicks. It's not ultra fast adjustments on it. Pulling quite hard. As you can see, it's just starting to tick. I've just put my hand in stinging nettles. That was stupid. I've stung my hand. So I'll just tighten up a little bit more. And you just see, it takes a long time until it will start to tick. There. That's a lot of pressure, but it's not just suddenly doing that zzz thing that I was worried it could do for a cheaper reel. So as you can see, the front clutch is what adjusts the main drag when you're playing a fish, but on the back we have this little click switch here. Now that puts it into a free spool function, and the tension of that is adjusted by this little knob on the very back. So that, once you put your rod on the rest, gives it into free spool. Have that a bit tighter than that if you like, and then as soon as you play the fish or pick up the rod, you can even click that back or wind, and it clicks it back into your preset clutch for actually playing fish. So quite handy if you're one that likes a free spool function. It's got it on there, full adjustment on the back for the free spool, and full adjustment for the main clutch on the very front. And lastly, the looks. Now, looks are extremely subjective, but I think they've kept it on trend with what seems to be popular in the fishing world right now. Predominantly a matte black all over with a few little bits of chrome or sort of exposed metal, giving it a bit more of a flashy bit around the spool. But if you're not liking that, they do have the option of a spare spool which comes with it, which is completely matte black as well. So if you prefer that on the reel, you can have this completely understated matte black all over without anything flashing the sunlight coming off the spool like it is right now with this spool. So like I said, it's very subjective, but I think they've kept that on trend quite nicely. So there you go, the Westlake Mamba YB5000, available from Go Outdoors. So do go head over there, spend $34.99, and one of these reels is yours. And I think this is ideal for a surface controller rod or a little stalking setup. Maybe not your set of 3 distance fishing rods, but a perfect little all-rounder for a grab and go rod. Please make sure you subscribe to us by clicking on that button to my right, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and maybe click on one of those videos to my left on your right to stay on the channel and watch some more of this sort of content. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you again soon.